Namo manjo shuriye, nama su shuriye, nama u dama shuriye su ha, o namo manjo shuriye, nama su shuriye, nama u dama shuriye su ha, o namo manjo shuriye, nama su shuriye, nama u dama shuriye su ha.
我总结觉到总结就能了，想就不能当你家总结，大概就业就别做了。罗老边家常见主播，我早些边界上学没多长，不让你地就把那上去别不。罗给那大给老几包有，也到有的人那面着老板你要打压米。我也。마지막 게 타다냐 베신제 탄제 다게 신디 만나시 가딩 침보 차다 마마시바 지점에 마시바로 탄지 마시바 빈지지 만나 대원대자 런도 고로 지봉 등엔 바시 노 데가 끼지점데 더 빈지지 만드나 데치 피스 소바도 치나 점마로 제바 주지 제바 샤오 냠비토스 상은 당겨서 샴바 공쇼스.
Yeah, all sentient beings have been our mothers, and they have been our mothers for numberless times. Their kindness are exactly the same as the mothers of this life. All kind mother sentient beings, though wishing for happiness and do not want suffering, but not knowing the object of adoptions and abandonment properly, they create the karma that bring forth the result of sufferings only. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness.
동아지나 있은지 대다 탕지 고선지면 TV 초 타다 전에 점마로 자와 제시 자와 다게샤 대다시니 몰라말에 신질로도서 무슨 니제 본쇼스.
Next, we cultivate compassion toward all kind mother sentient beings, thinking how nice if if three doors of all kind mother sentient beings were free of all adversities. May three doors of all kind mother sentient beings be free of all adversities. I will cause the three doors of all kind mother sentient beings to be free of all adversities.
대지선 동아진나 있은지 대다 탕지 코와다니 성기 동에를 도인게 설라 보고도 있는 게랑라 보스 게랑라 보제 다디네 가시 양타바 조베 상지지 공발한게 비니바메 다니바르슬라 요스네 양타바 조베 상지래 여비 대신지 탕지지 때 상지지 공발은 뭐지 진이자 토바 샤오 냠비 chanju시 생공쇼스.
Next, we cultivate bodhicitta, first asking oneself who should take the responsibility to free all sentient beings from lower realms and from samsara. I should take the responsibility to free all kind mother sentient beings from the sufferings of three lower realms and the sufferings of samsara. But I do not have the ability to do so. Only those who have achieved the state of enlightenment have the ability to free all kind mother sentient beings from the sufferings of lower realms and samsara. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I want to become Buddha.
다 풍보다랑 이치다 다데 컨데 아마도 베장 이치도 동아인 사tom반이나 대추 상당쇼스.
Next, we meditate on emptiness. that I do not exist intrinsically one with the aggregates, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically. Motivation: for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to receive teaching on Lamrim and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah. Nimba cheba da toji jansi la jansi se dirwa, jansi la shi to shika le rwa, da kasi kundi dirwa kanda, sumba sani judo chasi lin chit tenpa da cheba da toji jansi ni, da lindi chit tenpa da mandwa sarwa, da cheba toji jansi dire, da toji jansi de, da nimba toshi de, da dodo rwa tari shwet.
Yeah, so previously we talked about having contemplated karma and its effect, how to engage in virtue and disease from non-virtue in general. So that this is a general part. And now today we are going to start with, in particular, how to purify bad actions by means of the 4 powers.
Da nimba cheba toji jansi se, da dik tanda tuzuma shigudwa kanda, tambo dima chindurwa. Tida nichi ji magyo balambeja paame bada nyamu mawa laso wangi ta nyeba shune chema nyamba shaadu marwa temba tuji ji shichi bi tapsumba nana mbegu reese ta nganso tenda disong udarwa ta kanda soso pe linga yesunga ge ta kanda rwa nichi laso bata kanda nichi ji magyo bala kanda mbeba cheba inaya 다 너무 망아서 봐 대진지 다 고승기 때 로안네바 사바들이 중바이나 다 간다 대남에 다네 마샤와 간다 템바 투지지지 배 시지 제다 탑데 송제를 대나시 매진 제물에세 디렌도 방법이.
So even though you try to avoid being tainted by faulty conduct, some fault may occur under the influence of carelessness or a multitude of mental afflictions. Do not ignore it. You must take an effort to engage in the means for rectifying it as taught by the compassionate teacher. So here it says that even though we put effort in avoiding or not engaging in those misdeed or negative misdeed or negative conduct, and however because of carelessness and then because of the mental afflictions, then we still create some faults. So we shouldn't just leave it unpurified, and we must make an effort to engage in the method taught by the Buddha to purify it.
다디 간다 대송자로와 동아 시주에서는 다 간다 동바스 소선이 손바다 샤고레 다 디파 시주에서 도시군에 다 간다 샤도 치고리 에세디 송도와 다 동바스 소선이 쉐바시와데 다 간주 난지 두스 송고레 장주선 비자동 중바이나 대 양자 라야베 장치지 동바 슈고레 에세고로와 마샤바 라야 장치지 동바 양자 슈고레 에세 대 나게 동베기 자동 등이 중바이나야 야 간다 왕시바다 단주 렘발아서 받더니 양자 제고레스로와 대샤요 말이스 대 소타지 동발아서 받서 시지 간다 시다 소전 소바다더니 동아 시지스여로와 o da de chene ta kanda de so za dong chwa da ne ba chwa de zina da sha dong che bure ma do sha yo ma re se ko ta kanda dong nga zo pa sha ja ina chung chu ji ina da chen bo ina da pa sha dong sha ke ne ya shun pen ko re se ko ro dong la sha ma do so so nge ba sha dong che gu ya de ke chen bo shi da re se ko re.
So infractions against one's vows should be rectified as is taught according to each of the 3 types of vows, while bad actions should be rectified by means of the 4 powers. So, like for example, if we were to create any downfalls or transgressions against the Pratimoksha vows, then we can, for example, by attending the Sojong practice, Sojong ritual to purify it. And if we were to create any root downfalls or cause any root downfalls to the Bodhisattva vows, then we have to receive the Bodhisattva vows again in order to restore the vows. And if we were to create any root downfalls to the Tantric vows, then we have to, in order to restore it, then we can either receiving the initiations, empowerments, or do the self-initiations. So this is this is how the vows should be rectified as is taught according to each of the 3 types of vows. So in other words is, if we break the respective vows, then we have to rectify it accordingly. So we shouldn't just leave it unpurified. So when we create any transgressions or downfalls to the vows, no matter it is a small downfalls or a big downfalls, we have to purify it. We shouldn't just leave it unpurified because it will increase.
어떤 순자 간다 장주 신비 동바당가에 간다 니바라 소바든디 산이다 저거베 샤동 지할베 조응아서 상지의 장주 신발라 미니 대소소의 샤동 지 지차고 로 장주 신비 동바당가에 니바르 줄레오디 소소 샤동 지발라 조 상지의 장주 신발라 미니 샤동 지하시로 다 소타지 동바라 소바데다베 응가이 니바르 샤동 지오디 다조 니제다랑자 라마다 킴볼라 소바데다라 미니 샤동지야 들어와 대단한 샤동지야 당하기 동바던가 니바서 산데 니바 사와디즈바 샤동지야라 다 데리 이단다 오 칸로 오 바모 칸로 치중 오 데솔라미니 다조 샤동지고说
바오 바모 칸로로
오 칸로 데솔라
적용된 소로 also
적용돼서
So if we to purify faults that against the Bodhisattva vows, then when we do the confessions, then mainly we visualize Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And in order to purify the faults that goes against individual liberation vows or pratimoksha vows, then we mainly visualize hearers, solitary realizers, one's Lama or master or abbot. And in order to confess or purify, in order to confess the faults that is against tantric vows, then mainly we visualize one's meditational deity Yidam, and then Daka, Dakinis, and the Dhamma protector.
어디 이제 가서 데려 간다 다또 담보디 가서 다또 시대 넘버 신집도 네버 근도 집에도 로 네벌 라도베도 띵지도스 대시고 들어와 또 시부 담보도 망이 되시로와
So our bad actions should be rectified by means of the 4 powers. So what are these 4 powers? The first one is the power of remorse, also called power of regret. The power of fully applying the antidotes, also called the power of remedy. Third one is power of turning away from further faults, also called the power of refrain. Next one is the power of reliance.
number sinji to tambo de number sinji to tang aso to de ma shung de zone ma parin da shedan anda ma da yingo ruwa da de so so de la san ta ya da anda ruwa the number sinji to the pachi shung man chia no pe tambo number sinji to yo yo ro je ruwa ina da de wol de ka ne bo kunji ji to se wa da tinji to ne balla de to ya pari ma shedan de korin de se man da wa de yingo ruwa 다 소소 냥내를 잡을 줄을 맞추 쉬어요. 다 당보대 넘버 신집이 또 세야 되려요. 다 넘버 신집이 또 세야 돼 간다 되래. 수수급에 인제바 잡지야. 다 지와 체로 토마메만 다다바는 가서 배 지와 자참 분자 망부지 랑사리 다 랑사디 가서 네바 사바 파 시자치니. 그러와. 다 네바 디바 망부지 사사바 시자치니. 다 든디 사사를 파 시자 데이터를 파 수수급 인제바 잡고 답에 코바 나눠봐 두수나pe 다 야미 시야 야미 두체 지금바 다 쳐봐 이제 왔다 간다 코바 나눠 두수마이나 좋아 오 든디지 두수마 나시바 안제바 잡어지네 답에 지와 체라 토마미만 단다바데 디바 슈시사선 든디 제바 잡어지와 되래 당아서 그바지세 마제르 쉐이로와 단 넘버 신지베 또서 간다 제바 잡어지야 되래.
So regarding these four powers, the power of remorse in most of the texts usually is listed as the first power. And however, the following powers, for example, the power of fully applying the antidotes or the power of reliance, then they are listed differently in different order in different texts. So later I'm going to talk about these four powers in terms of from the practical point of view. So now we go to the first one, which is the power of remorse or power of regret. So basically is to generate a strong regret. So the regret, the negativities that we have accumulated since beginningless time. Because since beginningless time, we have taken numberless rebirths. So 100 rebirths, 100,000 rebirths, and more than that. So numberless lifetimes. And in these numberless lifetime, then we accumulated numberless negativities. So that is the basic concept that we should have, because in numberless lifetimes, we accumulated numberless negativities. We have accumulated a lot of negativities. So that is the basic concept to start with. Then we have to regret the negativities that we have done since beginningless time, as if we have ingested the poison. Because if one accidentally ingests the poison, then if we do not do anything about it, then either we will die of this poisonous substance, or we will have to experience a great pain, right?
다 넘버 신집에 또 되지로와 다 간다 가서 nembo 도시도네 샤돈 지야라 간다 세 담빈돌 돈에 간다 샤바체 단지다 상제 성인군에 동샤 돈에 간다 샤바체다 니레고도와 니레고도 간다 간디 동샤리나 가서 nembo 도시리 창도 그래 세 담빈돌로이나 nembo 도시리 창고여래 로와 가리고 지나 간다 창고여래 로와.
Yeah, then we're applying this power, use the two confessions, the confession in the Golden Light Sutra and the confession to the 35 Buddhas. So regardless which one you use to do confessions, these confessions in the Golden Light Sutra or confession to the 35 Buddhas, they contain the complete four opponent powers.
다듯이 넘버 신지부터 담보도서 말을 지시때 제리 한자치 유로와 님바는 님보 근데 집에 또 세더래로와 다 님보 근데 집에 또데 다 딜라페 나 존다보다 조샤와 다 간다 너데 사모라 템바 돈이라메바 대발 템바 구슬 템바 제발 템바 세나 템바세 다 님보 근데 집에 또디 존다보데 조여를 나눠라 로와.
The second one is the power of fully applying the antidotes, also known as the power of remedy. So this has 6 points. So there are 6 main points. The first one is relying on the profound sutra, believing in emptiness, relying on recitation, relying on images, relying on worship, and relying on names.
다 간다 디레 너디 사모라 템바시와데 다 디레 간소 희신긴도 되게 칠렘바 로와 칠렘바 된진바서 칠렘바 된진바 레몬서 로바 다 레몬 희신도 로바 로와 로바 다 지레니가 콘도 치바 시바 어다도 소데 간다 안도데 사모라 템바시 담보디 디레 로와.
Relying on the profound sutras, the first is to hear the words of the collections of sutra, like the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, retain them, read the scriptures like the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and understand them, and so forth. Tongmanila meba. Ameba, no, la seconda. Meba. La
Tonila meba siwa de kanda tenda dire. Chuji dameda kansaki dameni tenda de shewa, ruwa. Chuji dameda kansaki dameni tenda de shewure. Da kanda, da chuji dameda kansaki dameni de shewa de kanda, da tenda de che tangje sinji rangi uesawa. Sinji rangi uesawa nga zo peta susola tsikjaba ina sinji rangi de uesawa. Uesawa re, drima rizoka lobu de chumba. Lobu de chumba. Endiri sirwa, endiri hesikor. Da kanda nga zo chuida kansa ki damini shewde, da kanda dashi pumbo la rangi ji tupan ziyo di chuji danzi isi chawo yarwa.
Dashi pumbo la?
Dashi pumbo la mine, da rangi ji tupan ziyo di chuji danzi. Rwa. Kansa la, dashi kansa de la mine rangi ji tupan ziyo di kansa ki danzi isi. Kansa ki danzi rwa.
Konda, ani de dashi pumbo la mine?
Dashi pumbo la mine, da rangi ji tupan ziyo rwa. Chuji danzi rwa. Chuji danzi. Da dashi kansa la mine, da rangi chuban zingere, da kansa ki danzi se kanda de nzimba de ninge, da chuji danzi ki de shenyu da meba, nzimba nangshi tenla meba de, ha kondo de, da chuji dami ki tenda de warwa, chuji dami. Pumbo, rangi chuban nzimba nangshi tenla meba, tenge bi netsila rangi chuban meba de, pumbi tenda meba ha kondo de, da kanda chuji dami tenda de chirwa. 그 강사대 대가래 다 강사 랑지 주반 지우디 강나 때문에 랑지 주반 지우디 그 강사대는 짐바 나시 전화 매바 랑지 주바 매바 하고디 그 강사게 다메스 오다디 하고야지 취지 담다 강사 다메니 다디 된다 느낌 어디 가돌라
강사 대라니 대한 강라 되메 대하고 내니 대 강사게 다메로
야 강사 랑지 주반 지대로 와 강나 때문에 랑지 주반 지대로 와 어딘 짐바 나시 다 매바
Eso. So believing in emptiness, the second is to enter into selfless and luminous reality and to trust in primordial purity. So basically here it talks about emptiness, the emptiness of person and emptiness of phenomena. So if applied to oneself, that one's mind is primordially pure, or is luminous in nature, that those stains are adventitious. So stains only comes about adventitiously. And when we talk about this selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, it depends on the basis of emptiness. The basis of imputations. Yeah, basis of imputations. Like for example, if so selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena is the antidote to eliminate the self-grasping of person and self-grasping of phenomena. So what is self-grasping of person? Self-grasping of person is grasping the basis of imputation, which is the aggregates as intrinsically existent. Grasping the basis of imputation, the aggregates as intrinsically existence. So that is self-grasping of phenomena, because the basis of imputations is the aggregates, and you grasp at it, grasp at the intrinsic existence of it, then that is self-grasping of person. And self-grasping of phenomena. Self-grasping of phenomena is the basis of aggregates, a basis of imputation, the aggregates. And self-grasping of person is you grasp at the person. You grasp at person as intrinsically existent. You grasp at the person as intrinsically existent is self-grasping of person. So what does it mean by selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena? So selflessness of phenomena is it doesn't exist as is being grasped or apprehended. It doesn't exist in reality as it is being apprehended. Then that is selflessness of person. Like for example, the basis of imputations is aggregate. Then so it doesn't exist as is being apprehended. Then that is selflessness of phenomena. Similarly, to the selflessness of person as well. So one grasps at the person as intrinsic existent, right? So when you realize that it doesn't exist in reality and is being grasped or being apprehended, then you understand the selflessness of person.
我到底懂你了没把的懂到的到的给继续点的是吧？咱讲到讲啥的区域是吧？讲啥的区域大面积的让医院是以群里东把你了讲到特上公司结果的也是我是吧？特上公司，
講晒嘅區域，
我講晒的區域大面積，但是對象呢多的是吧？講晒的區域大面積讓醫院是以群本群里是吧？東把你是吧？群里東把你了，那群里東把你了，对特上公司去。 如果也是对铁上公司今天，也刚才个当面的，去当面的，看到我这边去结果也是我说啊，因我这边去接呢，也讲到铁上公司就对升级上去，也说是举了这上龙当的，那升级上去你可能为啥吧？这么说话的是，那萝卜银吧，上龙当的是吧？这么是萝卜银吧，上龙当的，我的讲到这么说话萝卜，对嘛？你讲到当铺那边，他讲到升级上去，打把的。 让伊少啊人都上，那的时候，俺把的心不结果是吧？让伊少啊，让伊别打不起。但这么说的，俺说萝卜的穷吧就嘛多，俺说这么说的，甚至让伊了这么的要吧伊呢？那现在咱们所要就有，所要可能要嘛的，让伊了这么修车呢？那现在咱们所要嘛的，让伊了这么没话送上，那俺说咱们所要有的也是等等的话，咱们说你的，那准备恐怕的话，上去去恐怕拖也得因为了话。
So believing in emptiness is the most important one, most important to cultivate. The second is to so as it says that enter into selflessness and luminous reality, and then to trust in the primordial purity. So our mind is pure from the outset or primordially. So when those stains happen, however, those stains are adventitious. They are not part of the nature of the mind. If those stains are part of the nature of the mind, then it cannot be purified. And since those stains are not part of the nature of the mind, therefore it can be purified. Therefore, the state of enlightenment is possible. One can achieve the state of enlightenment. If it is part of the nature, then it cannot be purified. Then there is no way one can achieve the state of enlightenment. So, having listened to those teachings. Listen to the teachings, explanations about selflessness, emptiness of person and phenomena, that one's mind is primordially pure. Then listen to it, then we contemplate it, and then we meditate on it.
他讲的你说啊，当俺说去当面的，刚才个当面个对的西比托的是吧？但西比托呢，他等到的俺说年不多些个了，俺说东巴你了，没把是话的当门多的啥么了，对吧？东巴你了没把是你把这个东你了没把是，但这个等到的俺说你没把心把结果呢，去当面的刚才个当面对你叔叔比国家不去，要不去要把西下个托呢。 这个是从当过是呢，但年不多是做吧，假设的地比可送让西面吧，多巴些，但地吧，但俺说地比可送让西面吧，多巴些，但东巴就听懂我词汇的，但俺说这个是山东籍啊，把但山东个错的就把这些过来，说地巴啥个地巴刚那点啥比地巴是这个有的，啥比地巴的地巴啥不。 다 라니라 페샤나 라니 디바 사와보 차고로와 디바 사와보 사바보 오 대송 다 라니지 마두바 동반이라 sanong tanga de da de dipa pa shadon chia ge chodo chipa chi resi ko da de ro tombani la sanong tanga de da dipa yo kana tine dipa saba yute ro de sabi dipa de kanda sawapo kansa de sawa kansa de song da rangi ji maduba tombala sanong tanga
yu dang tipa sababu ro is la.
Da naji deeping course rangi me pato ba se deeping course rangi me pato ba ti chona number ligu do wa da tenda de dila jago de sona jago
That's true. Tipa is the chawa ro is la.
da dibat jawa so sab dibat ro wa
That's true. Yeah, so on the basis of this understanding on the basis of this understanding on understanding this selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, then we engage in the four opponent powers. So when we purify our negativities, then it is important to apply the understanding of emptiness on it. So we talk about three spheres, yeah. So previously we also talked about three spheres. Here also we apply the three spheres as well, the three spheres of negativities. So what are these three spheres of negativities? The first one is the object or the recipient. And the second one is the negativities itself or the action itself. And the third one is the one who accumulate the negativities. So the three spheres are the object or the recipient. The second one is the negativities itself or the action. And the third one is the one who accumulate the negativities. So you apply the understanding of emptiness on these three spheres is they do not exist intrinsically. So the object or the recipient, the negativities itself, and the one who creates or accumulate, the one who accumulate negativities are empty of intrinsic existence. So by thinking about, meditate on the emptiness of three spheres is said to be the supreme one.
da de ji da somebody da ro da somebody kanda de debal te bas di ro somebody debal te ma ro mari da de chayo maro da do
kare chayo mari
do de samala te ma ore da de ro o debal te ma o de
debal
te ma de ro somebody de do ni ku ji be to wol ma tin ji to do ja do chi lu ko
ayo
o de debal te ma da kanda de da yi ja lo so ba deba cha ba da la mi ki changa lo so ba so deba chi da ma so na ji choga so so ni pe na ji ni yo
생각이 말어. 생각인데 대해서 생각 땜바 말이be. 타마디.
말에 생각은 라미긴 생각이와.
아소.
생각산에 대바치바. 생각서 대바치야. 다 이자라서 바산 대바치바 디로와. 라미긴 생각. 어디서 대바치바라고 걸. 대발 대바시와데.
Yeah, so the next one is relying on recitation. The third is to recite special dharanis like the 100-syllable mantra or the name mantra of one's Lama in accordance with the appropriate rituals.
Da kanda deba shiba de da kanda ngazo ta chema chi majung chi pada tus chegure sego da kanda deba chi yaderwa. So shadon chibi kala. The ta chema de chi kan majung chi pada so deba chegure ese.
Yeah, so when we do purifications, then we have to, by reciting the mantra, for example, then we have to continue to recite the mantra until you see the signs that your bad deeds have been purified.
Deba chiwede ngazo de songda ndole tu songda hindole ngazo sogi tisrwa sogi tis nala me chele drwa tel pe chan songda nala me chele da khanda chedo madi batsa da hila so bata tsai che khandi jona chanso se jagwa chanso me se no ra khanda rwa chansa me se bata da songa samo tu son deudi de ngazo pe da so so pe go songa ge dipa ndramina so sawo ra khanda dipa ndramina so sawo ro da dipa kanga da pa kada njong tuya be nembo te tuya de ngure se woro diba kanga pan jong yak ro wo de na shi da kanda nala me chele de pe chamare kanina chanzo me se bana shi ta sunga samo de de udi da deji ji me ngazo deba cheba de me la pe sha chiji de lung la pe sha wo do lu de media pani de ro chiji chembo de me ji la sha wo do ji de ro or that Tindigi, this was on a tepe, that made the Nibash Yurwa. That made it Majidi tepe, Shinakanga, Pa say to Rua, Shinakangabe, Senate, then Anshi, then also be Suzuki Nimbo Tenda to Lurwata. That Nimbo Tenda was Suzuki Jula Nimbo, that Debache, or that Debache Mipachonati, Rua, Suzuki Deba de Kanda, Tele Mela Peshani. That's a sitting up, which she didn't put that sitting on that Jirchi Shua, or that Tombo Sirinda, Zenjusum. There's a page I did much Shua.
So questions of Subahu Tantra says, as when the flames of forest fires in spring, uncontained, burn all the underbrush, so burn all the grass, burn all the trees, etc. So the wind of ethical conduct, so is the metaphor again. So the wind of ethical conduct fans or increases the fires of recitation, burning up bad deeds or negativities with flames of joyous effort. So, let's say the bad deeds, like for example, the deeds done, the negative deeds done by our three doors, then by having this complete, these conditions such as the winds of ethical conduct and the fires of recitations, then they're able to purify those negativities, just like a fire can burn all the forests, burn down all the forests. Burn down whole forest, and it shows how we should apply the antidotes by having all these conditions. So the wind of ethical conduct. So this ethical conduct is the foundation, or is the main conditions that we must have.
Oh, Dijawdwa. Tangazu de Sitin de Dile Shidin da Buchawarwa. Lamrim Mango, song the Tambuma song the Roa. Labasun and Stringy Lava the So Shidin song Doa. Roa. Tambongorima de Roa. Ngongonima song the Kanda Tambo Labasun Shiv, Labasun Shiv, the Tambo Stringy Lava the Shiv Doa. Stringy Lava the Roa. Stringy Lava the Shidin in Song Roa. But the reason that Stringy Shidin were they can let that's the made more. So passion to boarding as a Labasun to Didan Shiv, the Zundu de Chansana, your essay, and as a Zundu de Pe, that's also go get to Kandiji, Chanju said that Shamba the Ninja loss of a she, Tomban Yenta Kandiji Pe, go do by that Zundu the Chansana, Zundu the Yundi Malik Jason door, yes, Yundi Kandiji do gonna Chansa Jil, that Robachini Guru, Zundu the Reservoir. But that's into the Yabagu that, then the Sutin also Yundi, she didn't, she did the Reservoir, the Laringo work as she shimba.
Sutim Dera.
Sutim.
Yeah, so this ethical conduct or morality is said to be the foundations, and this is also mentioned in the beginning of at the beginning of Lamrim text as well, when it talks about the three higher trainings, three trainings that the training in morality is said to be is first discussed and is mentioned as the foundation. And besides that, the joyous effort as well is also indispensable. We also need joyous effort. Basically, in whatever roots or virtues that we do, then we need a joyous effort. Even like if we engage in three trainings, then we also need joyous effort. And if whatever virtues we do, basically, then whatever virtues that we do, and in order to achieve the good qualities, then this joyous effort is the one who assists us to achieve those good qualities, or to assist us to do those virtues. Without that, then we are not going to engage in those virtues. So joyous effort is we have to we need this joyous effort. It is indispensable.
That digital conduct and a pitchly without the Roa. Dear Carzana, Chita Kala Nimi usage in debate Leudua. Takala Nimi usage do not see Jig Mazebanjo and she that sitting me is a page out. That sitting me will see she didn't have it, dear Jiji do not that deeper conjure can you the Sepanju Resroa, you the Sepanjure, Pena, Mipana Bola, Roa, Minala, Malape Mamishwana, Shita Mami Digi, Mibarsen Urwa, Mamidi Mibarsen Urwa, or Mina Maliba Seva Nashi, 다 제로 동네 사베데 디바간가데 되지 마미 니르 세와 치그레세 어디렌도와.
He continues to say, as when the sun rays strike the snow, it cannot withstand the brilliance and melts. So when the sun rays of ethical conduct and recitation strike the snows of negative actions, they evaporate or they melt or they evaporate. As when lighting a butter lamp in pitch darkness dispels all the darkness with none remaining. So the light of the butter lamp dispels the darkness. So the darkness of bad deeds accumulated in 1,000 lives is quickly dispelled by the lamp of recitation.
당한서 디바 샴베 세마드스다 간다 디수렌도와 다 말라나로와 말라나 생년바 주바 생년바 주바다 다 쇼다 오마라서바 주바다 통화 니가라 샤고도와 주바 통화 니가 다 니마 샤와 통화 다와 샤와 통화다 다 난칼럼 펀도와다 랑기 류라 멤버와다 로와 다 마헤다 만아보투바 다 게롱다 게롱마기 겐디스 통화 다 오만지 that's the young legend is a woman in the Lambocheta, Chinjo Rita Singilas of a Kazan and Zebato, Yanzenua, Roa, Zenua. What that chin Nimbarangi, Gideon, the Lama chin Nimba Malamimba. What that indeed, this is Samarkanda, Semachumba in that deeper topic, Semariese, this Mudua. That they cut chance at our own Duama, Roa.
That's all. Yeah, so you should continue this recitation practice until you see signs that your bad deeds have been purified. In the Dharani of the goddess Junda, the signs are said to be dreaming of vomiting black food, drinking and vomiting things like yogurt or milk, seeing the sun and moon flying in the sky, seeing a burning fire, subduing a buffalo or black clothed people, seeing a sangha of fully ordained monks and nuns, climbing a tree from which milk emerges, and seeing an elephant, a bull, a mountain, a lion throne, or a palace, and hearing the Dharma, for example, from one's Lama, or dreaming of prayers.
Oh, that indeed, that's not Shadow change in Bikaji and Nilan Chuna say, de Tares Goramichita, Nanzo Terrace, Shadow came Majiba, Nilan China did debata in Sema Akemare Take Mariro. They came so Shadow change in Bikabjila, and so teaching the Shadow change Shana, and that teaching Nilan Chuna, debata in Sema Resigor.
Yeah, so if these signs happen when you are when you are spending time in the durations of time on confession practice, then you see those signs, then those are the signs that your negativities have been purified. So it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to times that you do not specifically doing a purification practice, and you see those signs, then those signs. When you dream of that, those dreams are not said to be the signs that your negativities have been purified. So if you continue to engage in confession practice, then and if you dream of those mentioned in the text, then those are the signs that your bad deeds have been purified.
Lojo yabo chena da kanda kunro rangi kunro tsar doya chadang monsa ya shu cher doya tindi leodi de sema zo da kanda ngene sike mare ro kanda sema tindi chungba minila tindi chungba ina de dipa tabi ngene sike chago yo mare
사지 가서 공조 슈체르 드나 미람 나로라
이미 난지 난지 소소 군조 휴체르 차당 휴체르 난지다 만다 휴체르 로 니나도 양세까지 정말 있는 난 좀데 바랑아레 마도 이 디파 다게 말이지 나서 와들 지나 타지도 공에 봐요 말이 이나 양세 길레오디 되지 다 세마지 열으시고 와 되지 열으시고 이나 니나도 양세 레바이노 Kunto ngaja de shu chir ndo ba ina de ta ngwe ne chi ta ke chawu yo maris ko di ba ta ta.
Yeah, so if you have those signs in your dream, then yeah, if you dream of those, then those are the signs when you do confession during the time you do confession practice. Then those are the actual signs or the valid signs that your negative deeds have been purified. And if you do not, how say when you just in our daily lives, and if how say one's anger become greater, one's pride become greater, one's attachment also become greater. So, and even if even if you dream of those, then those are not the valid signs that your negative deeds have been purified.
Tangwe ne chi di pa ta gi chema da ta da karisna. Ta so so la pe nyamu tu so chung ro. Tangwe ne so so ngama de manda wa pe so ngama mi gi pe ke cha ji shina lansa kunjo lang wa ji lang chu chu da bo shi. Tangwe ne si mi gi chemo da je che kandi ke cha da mi su po kandi la ba na so so kunjo shi da ma la ma la me ba. Pe kandi na nga je memba. O ta nyamu kari na pe ni ba chu ro. Pe so so pe ha khwa ya ji de mi ma ba yo ra ji na ro wa. Mi de pe ngoma pe kunjo sa ba tanda me ya bo cha shi de yo ro wa. Tangwe ne chi de pe nyamu chu ro. Kunjo nga je so ma chu ro da so so pe kunjo la de ba. Kunjo so la di che da de ba so shu chen bo le wa. Ta nyama re re ji la pe chu che da nyama kha yi re zu ji la pe so so pe che da ji ma ji na lo ma de ba. Pe tumba cha su sa su pe ta tri ngi le ga ji cha ma su sa de pe sing che che ya ge pe lo shu chen bo de ji jong ba ina wo da de yi chi de ba shu chen bo ji le ba ina de ngang zeng we ni chi da di pa ta be ta che ma man chu da ma no de re se wo di pa ta be che ma man chu ta man chu da ma no de re se wo da we ni si de.
So what is the actual sign that we can actually believe it as as valid is our attachment, anger, and ignorance is getting lesser and lesser, getting weaker and weaker. So, for example, there are people whose anger, always ready to get angry. So anything, just hear something, then the person immediately get angry, and after practicing dharma, then the person's kind of calm his anger. So even if some people are trying to appease the person do not get angry immediately, or do not the pride also subside. Then that is the actual sign that the person's the person's negativities have been purified. Besides that, if one's the convictions and faith in three jewels are getting stronger and stronger, that is also a actual sign as well. And every day we practice dharma, right? And in case if one day we do not spend time on practicing dharma, then you feel very uneasy that something is missing today, that something left undone today. Then that is also a sign that our negativities have been purified. So those are the actual sign. That is the actual unmistaken sign.
Yeah, that inda, that shiba inda, that kusula temba sewa derwa. That shiba kusula temba sewa that dire kanda, chodenda, that sanji kula soba tendipe nyangso chiwa da shinya tizorwa, shinya tizori. That kusula sanji la kanda deba nini rwa, sanji la pe kanda deba. Zichidoni de Ganda chodenda Gundala Sope Nyanso Chenia Shayanda that is Dire Kandarwa Missing Chodin Las of Sagar Sakabo Chunia Pe Yabo Shisochiata. O that is Suri Kanda Kusula Timbasia.
So relying on images, the fourth is to create images of the Buddha and having gained faith in him. So with faith, then we restore the statue, for example, restore the images of the Buddha, or we build the images of the Buddha, or even whitewash the stupa. Then those are the example of relying on images.
Dan chebal temba dire kanda ta pe sanji chanse te sola suso ki deba dodo me bitone te kanda Choban shooting tire appeared. Shooting and Nansabala Sabarua. That
Choba
is
Tankari.
shooting tire by Choba Mambo. Nansaba
Or
Mambo
shooting Tayeba.
shooting tire.
That's
That
all.
didn't
So the next one is relying on worship or relying on making offerings. So the fifth is make various types of offerings to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and stupas. So with faith, you make numberless, numberless offerings like the clouds of offerings, and you visualize it and you offer to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
That to buy the Kanda Dirwa, Sinati Batrua, that de Kanda Dire, that Sanjida, Chanju Simba to Subin Saint Tebada, Jeba, Roa, that Saint Teba, the Jeba Lasabati Dera, Kanda and Sinati Bas did it.
The next one is relying on names. The sixth is to listen to and retain the names of the Buddhas and the great Bodhisattvas. So the third power is the power of turning away from further faults. Nare. Sumbare. Nare. That's all.
That's somebody never loved the Tode. That did Kanda. That Megi Yantaba Domba is Sochi Salondoa. That's what Chibas goes from Jikanda and answer Megi Chua. Nagishi Lida Nagishirua. That Lijison, Ijisonroa. Or that Megi Chula Soba Ledanroa. That Kanda Injury Megi Chula Subita Kanda Diba Kandishina Roa. The Diba Kandishina never loved to be tossed and turned at it. That's all the day. That Tanja Chia Kanda, Sosuki Pe Sanji Chanju Simbangula, Dila Kondo, Kanda Pe, Chewa Sera Tomamiban Tadabada, that Dipa Mamuji Sa, Sun Simbarwa, Sa Sun Simbari. That Digi Toshi Kanda, this was in Jobad, in Jobad Livon, Joba, De Toshi Tangi Shinji, Roa, that Shinji Pe, that De Tanja Chia and Mazu de Chidang Susu Tanja Chedang Rabuchi. Ya Tanja Chedang Mashiba in a Susu, Ya Munchini Diba Sandia and Nenga Yurua. That Tanja Chia, the country, that Sanji the Changes about Yons Zubagundula, Kanda, Roa Susugi, Niba Kayo, Susugi, Niba Niche Kayo, Peroa. That Kanda, Shinchi Sola Project, that Susugi Niba Kayo, that Linga Yusunga de Dipi Shawa Yela Majuba. Jigi Sani Yani Pet Don Sechiat. Yani Pet Don Sechengi, Dipi, Jongi Jusun Sai, Dipi, Yelam, Meju Sansachi. What that the Yani Don Sechi or Susu Nipa, Susu Niche, Nipa Kayochi Laurum, Nima Terin Zuning, Dipa Zawadi, Nepa Zawani Chigmi, Setus Tanja Shajawaina. That never temperature Sabina. This was a Tanja Dangano, the Tanja Dangano, the Tanja Chesa, the Lama, the Sanji Chansi Mambo Jirua. Ambogundila Susu Tanja Jazadi, the Tanja Dangats and Tele never Chimbuji Roya. That's Susu Niba Kayos Lajana, de Ashu Chawashua. Susu Niba Kayo, the Shinching is solar poach and Niba Kayo, Jongi Jusun Tsai, Roa, Yella Majuba, near Tanja Chigi is Yani Yanda Pedons Chigi is at Rich, Roa.
Yep. So the power of turning away from further faults, the third of the four powers is the power of turning away from faults in the future, which is to completely resist committing the 10 non-virtues. And these 10 non-virtues, so previously we have talked about it already. So the 3 of body, the 4 of speech, and 3 of mind. So basically, in this power, the power of refrain, then basically is to promise not to do it again. So promise not to do the non-virtues again. So in front of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So you have Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Lamas visualize in the space in front of you. Then to them, you make promise that Yeah, so to them, then you first think about the negativities that one has accumulated since beginningless time, and then by the power of regret, then you regret it. Then by the power of this regret, then you promise to them that I'm not going to do it again. So the way to make promise to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Lama is also very important. And if we do not know the proper way to make a promise, then there is a great danger that we will continue to create negativities. So the correct way to make a promise to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Lamas is, so to the best of my ability, that I'm at the course of my life, I'm not going to create negativities, that I'm not going to create a complete negativities with the beginning, actual, and completion. So you keep, as I said, you cultivate this mind of restraint again and again, that to the best of my ability, at the course of my life, I'm not going to create negativities, complete negativities with beginning, actual, and completion. So you continue to cultivate such mind of restraint. So that is a more a correct way, or the proper way, to make a promise to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Lamas. Because if we do not make a promise in this way, and if one were to say that, from today onwards, I'm not going to do that negativities. I'm not going to create negativities. And if in case one were to create negativities, since you have make such a promise that I'm not, from today's onward, I'm not going to create any negativities to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Lamas, then if one were to create a negativities, then you have how to say, break your promise, right? So it goes against your promise already. So because of this, then how say one also create big negativities of not following the promise, or not how say the one also create big negativities for breaking the promise that you made to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
That tanja jedang da wudin di yore ya, susuki nisi pe shawaina sochi jilen da bu yoro soche bati. Da pe soche banda bu china wa da de tendi soche ba rang da hin sinchi kandi jina ngi soche bati sochi jingi juwa ngi jin ju chai tendi ngi le de le saba sochi juwa ngi ji da kasi shitsara soche ba juwa ngi jin ju se jongi ju se chai nga to le sana de sochi jilen na zo yoro wa. Oh tendi soche tabula pechana ngi rangi sinchi kandi jina da kanda ngi chua sola pocha ngi soche ji joa ngi inju tsang ngi le de zawan ngi mche de la ngi sagmi de ngi lamai de kunjo sung ngi ngi tangja chagi yin se de tangja shana sha thuro da nga zo wa da mambo ge changju sing be domba da so domba mambo shi sa ro nga ge domba da de so de so so ge jongin ju sung tsang ngi ni chigi 당자 샤잖아 다도 종의 주스타이 파지 소티야 된 것은 종의 주스 차이 저바 진이 비차네 다 깔래 커버로 왔다 지금 말어 왔다 한 번씩 와 지금 말해 뭐다 든지 소속에 니세 여바데 당자 원에서 샤고 다 간다 와 소속에 소치니 랑지 신체 간디지나베 니 치와 소라 보장이 상지 장주스 군들랑이 간다로 와니 소치지 조항이 준 창이 레데 싸원이는 매지 사소소 동세지야 돼. 그다도 제토야 지로와.
Yep. So there is another way to make a promise as well. So in front, again, you visualize Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, three jewels, lamas in the space before you. Then you make a promise specific, not to do something specific. Like for example, I'm not going to kill. So I want to abandon killing. So when you make such a promise, then again, to the best of my ability, at the course of my life, I'm not going to create a complete negative karma of killing. I'm not going to create complete actions of killing. So previously we also talked about complete and incomplete karma, right? So I'm not going to create a complete negative actions of killing. So this is within our capacity to do, right? Because we as a Dharma practitioners, I think this is not difficult for us to make such a promise. So when we make a promise to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, for example, then we have to make such a promise that is within our capacity, that we're able to follow what we promise.
다 대낭시 안서로와 다 소속이 빼 센들랑이 다는 빵 투레 상사때 소등 거 소속이 외에서 당제 샤드는 리고르와 동시지는 리고레 다 센들라 빼 소속이 빼다 하장깔래 가고 싶어래샤 다 센들랑이 간다 동시 제마도나 다 제와 제마라 빼 제미 제마도랑이 동시 제투야 빼 소속된 리지 용이 제투바 쇼 상사때 리 소속 만한 원기 만한 나시 든지 빼 소속 상로 땅도 이나 대 피해 정보 열으시고로와 어떤 리지 바체 도바이나 열에서 다 소속이 네 마체 다 소속이야 꽝투야 니 간다 마체 간자랑이 꽝마 도바이나 니 간다 로 줄라 간다 꽝게 있어한다고 로 줄라 만은 로 송시 니 로지 대 마진 바이나니 로 다와 카시지 딜랑이 니바디 사와니 마사사 당자샤 대 마체 그 소속이 추세다 까말 니마 직당이 들이 니마 들이 내가 성에 자와 신다 보이나 가리나 네바 찌망가 봐서 지긴 이사 야 든지 봐 소속이 뒤를 파샤네 다 뒤세 통 든지를 파자 뒤세 지름 볼라샤 뭐 소속이 투야게 든지 봐 림바게 자초거래로 상당 초거래 어다 든지 소속이 당자 샤바이나 간다 피해 첨벌리원 다 당자되다 만가 봐 중바이나 니마 첨벌리원로
Yeah, so if one able to if one able to abandon those negative actions for your whole life, for the rest of your life, then you should make such a promise. And if you think that it will be very difficult for me to abandon such negative actions for my whole life, then you just think, then you can also think in another way is, though I'm not able to abandon this life, but I will abandon in future lives. May I be able to abandon such negative actions in future lives. So you make such an aspirational prayer, then making such aspirational prayers also very beneficial as well, because you're not able to abandon this life, then you make a prayer that may I be able to abandon such negative actions in future lives. So this is also very beneficial and very good as well. And besides that, if one not able to abandon negative actions for your whole life, then you also can add a durations, a time frame as well. Like for example, I'm not going to do it for 10 years or 5 years or 1 year. So if you're not able to do it, not able to abandon it for a year, then at least then you mentioned, like for example, months. So to the best of your ability, then if you can abandon such negative actions for months, then you make such a promise. And again, if you're not able to abandon it for months, then you can be week or can be day as well. Like for example, I'm not going to do it today. So you can make such a promise as well. And if day also very difficult, then you can hours, minutes, for example. So by doing so, also very beneficial.
That's all you want to pay Shahway in Angarwa, and so Chasin Sewadra. Chasin Sewad and also pay Shubuji, Jilabu Shuji Sewarwa. That answers Shulola, Sagan, Tsongkhapa, Kavan, Drobaina, Chasin the Chichon of Jirwako, Kala Mine, and they no longi, it doesn't Raminanzolako, Miniko Chasin Chiat. That pay Shawaina, Minimat, Shinji Sola Pojangi, the reading Chasin the Pongisina. This Tanja Shawaina, that is the Kalekabo, when Tanja, Jatonga, Nimajil Mamonga, Ningashabudua. Oh, did Tanja Shawaina, so the Nevachimbuligua, Nevachimbuligua. Or that is up a Salonta kitchen, but Jada Tanja Shani was don't think in the killing, but the Digi Chumba in a pit, didn't beat up with Chumbaina. This also be pure but Juma Chepa, Suzuki, Tanja Shawan is when the Susu Nikudena. Akanda ndo ina kala sawa ina susu getsa de pen wore peg ni ba chimbo wore roa o dendi ingore sa ngaso ta domba lamba
kale ni ba pegi re gonga domba gi ni ba o getsa gi ni ba
o getsa ya pen wore se woro ta susu domba de lamba ina roa ta domba so ngaso nanji lo su da shong de zone de changju sim be domba sanga ji domba so da ji domba so ba de lin cha ba ina de susu ni ku de na kanda kala sa ndo ndu kande jina so gets at Pedro Sigora. At the Domba Kakela, Malangina, Missy Chenga, or gets a salma to Domba Piaki or Marco. Kaki.
Yeah, so for example, attachment. Yeah, so attachment is very easy to arise. So, for example, when we go out to a shopping mall or to a restaurant, then this attachment is always ready to arise. Like when we order when we see others' food, and when we see how to say those beautiful things in the shopping mall, and then we see I say a beautiful things or whatever things that we see, a beautiful one, a pleasant one, attractive ones. Then, and in relation to those things, then attachment is always ready to arise. So such attachment that is how to say easy to arise. And if we were to make a promise, like for example, I'm going to abandon attachment for my whole life, then it's kind of difficult, right? Because just one day itself. So if you go out, then just one day itself, and then how many things or occasions or moments that will go against your promise if you make such a promise that I'm going to abandon my attachment for whole life. So in one day, how many occasions and moments that will contradict or you break your promise? So yeah, so when we make a promise, then we have to be careful. We must know how to make a promise as well. So if one has a promise to take, if one take a vows, and in one keep their vows as well properly, then even if you do not purposely engage in roots of virtue, engage in virtuous activities, then even just sleeping or eating food or drinking water, your roots of virtue increases. So compared to beings who didn't take the vows, then unless they purposely engage in creating virtues, other than that, their roots of virtue will not increase even when they are sleeping.
다 시바 띵지 도딩다 다 시바 들어와 다 시바 띵지 도디 데레 장로다 장주 생공마 데려와 다 장로다 장주 생공마레 띵지 도디.
So the power of reliance, of the four powers, is the power of reliance, and which is to go for refuge and cultivate bodhicitta.
다 간다 장로다 장주 생공마 가서 장주 제바이나 장주의 생기 생비터네 장주 제고로와 대체나 다 간다 니가 들리고로와 띵지 도들어와 장주 제바이나 신신지 탄지데 상지 공부토야 대체도 텔라마라 저 상지를 줘서 간다 장주 제바이나 오 다디 대된데 장로의 장주의 생기 생비 장주 장주거로와.
Yeah, so when we go for refuge, then we must be motivated by bodhicitta. So for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become enlightened for this purpose, and then I'm reciting the refuge prayer. For example, I go for refuge to Lama. I go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So if you take refuge, motivated by bodhicitta, then just doing the refuge itself, then you have the refuge and the cultivations of bodhicitta both together.
다 간다 띵게 도들 장로의 생기 니샤고도와 다 장로의 생기 니샤의 윤세디 데레 간다 로아 안서 디바 사바데 생기다 상지 데니라 데니 디바 사바 장자리 로아 상지의 생기라 데니 디바 사바 장자리 다 데사바 장자리 점바 송자 만서베 힌두데베 사실마 살만제니데 만제사게 사실 대가랑나 데니 야랑고 서고로와 살마 지리 대가랑나 데니 야 사지 텔라데니 야랑고 로아 데나시 나서 다 생지라 데니 디바 사바 데라 나서 디바 타야초데 장주기 생공바 데레 신신지기 텐도로와 신지기 텐도 장주기 상지 공바도야 장주기 생 공바데 간다 이제 생지라 데니 사비 디바 데 타야 그님보 소진도 그래서고로와 다 상지라 대가래 상지라 데니 사비 디바 데기 님보라 조 다시 상 군조선라야 미네 베 장도치야데 군조선라 미네 장도치야데 다 상지라 데니 사비 디바 데 타야 그님보 소원도 그래서고로.
Yep. So the power of reliance here, you see, one is going for refuge, another one is cultivating bodhicitta, right? So the reason why these two are, the power of reliance are going for refuge and cultivating bodhicitta is because when we create when we accumulate negativities, we accumulate negativities in relation to two party. Yeah, one is Buddha, another one is sentient beings. And so just like one fall on the ground, and then you have to rely on the ground to get up, right? So similarly, if you accumulate negativities in relation to Buddha, then you have to then you have to cultivate the antidotes to purify such negativities in relation to Buddha as well. So if one accumulate negativities in relation to Buddha, the main antidotes to purify such negativities is going for refuge. So if one, similar to cultivating the main antidotes to purify the negativities accumulated in relation to sentient beings. So the main antidotes would be cultivating bodhicitta.
다 간다 간서 띵지 또 디지로 다 디올 마디시 요구와 다 디반 달루지도 다 님보 도시 전에 간다 님보 도시 분에 띵바이나 디바 타야 다 간다 디바 소소기 다 참이기 레지나 간디기나 간다 디바도 다 마토야 님보 도시 전에 다 마토야 춘이 요마시고 당가서 다 빠디 탄주일로와 탄주일로 소소기 디바 간디지 사바이나 다 디바데 다 투리에서 다 투리에서로와 다 디바 달루딜란 간디디도와 다 년도마 동아 첨부 용구야기 조타 먹이리 차 첨부사나 로와 지나 먹이리 친디 총성아서 나지 도서 친디 총수 샤오요와 친디 주스 먹이리 첨부되게 냐와를 제반 린되게 이달 제바 중국되게 등로를 제바하시네 마서데 먹이리 친디 총수가 남이 진저부데 미기 마지로 등디 샤오요와 오다드 솔마 친디 등디 랭엠바 저기 드서 칸 제부드스 뇽먹과 냐와라 제먹과 진 디바 뇽먹과다 겐도 이다 등로sol라 디바 뇽먹과게다 드서긴 뇽먹과긴 제부데로와 뇽먹과서 다 간다 안달루데 다 님보 도시 gonda데 간다 등아 로와 다 미기 겐도라 마치바이나 등아 첨부 뇽먹과데 등아 충 파 주야게 등디기 님보 도시 gonda다로와 다 겐도라 치자 등아 빠 마뇨아로와 소소 따디 땡라페 ngo 춘추지나네 로와 ngo 나지네 데 디바탄도와 간다 가서 님보 도시 gonda들이다 니바 지주 gonda들이로와 오들이 데 주림보 등에 뇽고가 드서 바 인퉁툴라 마데 등에 뇽마고아 등에 때 자원이 뇽마고바 오들이 용고레스 도시 다 등이 유나데 간다 소소기 디바 종케 데 도치추다 님보 도치 조마도 디 슈타마타 진지머지 오 디기 찬테 간다 가서 등에 첨보의 충주 로와 이림보의 인통도 디 자원이 뇽먹어 다르야 오다도 소데 님보 도시 된다고 돈 소속에 님보 도시 소속에 땡케 공파보 소속에 배 니바 치주다 슈타레 디도 그래서 그러와.
So the manner of purification, or how it is purified, by applying the four opponent powers. So previously we talked about the ripened result of great non-virtue is one will be born in hell, and the intermediate non-virtue, then the ripened result of it will be born in a hungry ghost, and the ripened the ripened result of small non-virtue, then one will be born as an animal. So by applying these by cultivating these four opponent powers, then we don't have to experience those unpleasant suffering results. So yeah. And then here is according to, I say, the negativities that one has accumulated, even including the the immediate retribution karma, which is the five heinous crime. So even those five heinous crime can be purified by the four opponent powers as well. So there is such a saying: there is no negativities cannot be purified by the application of four opponent powers. So in other words, is application of four opponent powers can purify all negativities, including the five heinous crime. And so the manner in which bad actions can be purified is as follows. The causes for the arising of great suffering in the lower births are transformed into causes for the arising of minor sufferings. So the great sufferings are transformed into a small suffering. Or if one is born reborn in the lower realms, then one doesn't experience their suffering, or having been purified, they result in a mere headache in one's present life. So just experiencing the headache, then that negativity is purified. And likewise, something that would need to be experienced for a long time is transformed into something of short duration, or that doesn't need to be experienced at all. So it's something, the sufferings that we have to experience a long time, then transform into a short durations of time, or don't have to experience at all. So there is no categorical certainty. So there's no such certainty here, because it depends on whether the power of the person during the purifications is great or small. So the power of the person who who cultivate the four opponent powers, so whether it's great or small, and on whether the four opponent powers are complete or incomplete, intense or not intense, of long or short durations, and so on. So because of these factors, so there is no categorical certainty.
소소기 슈타부 주진보지 제바이나 다베 소몬티와 다방아서 들페 샤운다 소몬티와 무구자 구주 고구세 바로와 소몬티와서 되게 무구자 구주 고구세 바레 데 간다 마지드게 소소기 파와세 바레와 얍치자 둥바레 다 디지스와 되게 아마세 바레 간다 아마세 바레 다 파세 바든지 여로와 오다드 소득베 근디베 네바 차치모 든지 사사르와 당원의 소치질레베 네바 차치모 사사르와 사츠레데 페 냠보 도시 토네 페 샤동 제네 참마데 페나 파비 kum바 파랑 토레스 고다 뎀바 무슨 토레스 로웨르 참마데 페 또바 질레 제데르다 파비나 파랑 kum바 토데레 파나 로아 오 든디 토바레세 고레 오다 든디 토아스자 답페 네바 사치모 든디 제차레데 데 단두 간다 페 수소부 질라 페 파랑 또바 제네 뎀바 무슨 토이 든디 또바 질레 제데르 로아 오다 든디 베 냠보 도시 토네 간다 소소기 추자보 주진보 든지 제바이나 네바 딘데 다투 레시고.
Yeah, negativities can certainly be purified if one apply the four opponent powers with great strength and for a long time. So in the history, like for example, Angulimala, who killed 999 people, and Ajatashatru, and who killed his father as well, King Bibimsara, if I'm not mistaken, and they are. I say those story mentioned in the scriptures as well, that those who kill their mothers, those who kill their fathers and kill others. So those killers, so they had accumulated heavy negativities, and however, by applying the four opponent powers greatly and then for a long time, they even achieve the wisdom realizing emptiness, or in other words is who see the reality directly, and they also achieve the path of seeing. Aya path, sorry, yeah.
Without the listen that they will do ndo didn't do any Lena Kabajan Chimasasi and that is on Lena Kabajan late to Pesana Kabajan was an Akanda lady. Chisa Marista, gay lane and Magay lane and Roa. Can deputy Chisa Marisi. And deputy Chisin Roa Mare, did this song the Kandaroa. That's also Magi late Sachi Penyawalape, Roa, Nyawalape, a Lord Jad has it, the day where Magi late Sachimbo, Lord Jad has Nyawalape, Sadang Dunga Yongwag, Roa, Lord Jad Halape, Sadang Dunga Yongwag, the Nyawala, Machia, the Lady Sawaina. That late the Kanda, later la Nimbo Toshi, Shadow Majibana later Yongi late Hador. Yongi late, Roa. Nyonge jile swad ta le kapa tindig le tigin jebde ta pekaba jam ga tong do baina tan khanda nimbo to shi shado ma jebda tan jebde pa ngeba nyongo la mi jebde ngeba nyongo dego lo ja la dego ro o di nyongo o da di nyongo sanza ta khanda le na ndo le song de ta le na kapa jan chi sa ga mar tigi ta de ta nimbo to shi tindi gomba me bala gomba re nimbo to shi ma gomba ina te khanda mi nyawala ta lo ja ga jebde nyongo re se 다 전달된 가서 용이 레서 되게 전달이 되선 거래. 님보 도시 공부 매바이나 때 제부된 게 봐. 용도 그래서 뭐 전달이 시고도 와.
Yeah, so the statement in the sutras and the Vinaya that actions will never be lost even in 100 eons implies if the antidotes of the four powers are not cultivated. Yeah. So yeah, and then also commentary on the perfection. Yeah. So like for example, an actions. Yeah, an actions that we have to experience its suffering result in hell, in the hot and cold hell for 100 years. So if one were to accumulate a karma that one has to experience the suffering in hot and cold hell for 100 years, and if one do not cultivate, apply the four opponent powers to purify it, such karma is a karma, its result is certain to be experienced. So is a karma certain to be experienced. So even such karma that after 100 eons has passed, that we still have to, because we will never cease. No, even 100 eons has passed, then we still have to experience its sufferings if the four opponent powers are not cultivated.
Talking about the Sura talking about talking about the Kandadire woman nimbo Randi talking about Sunya Dosi Dilagudua.
Woman talking about
woman nimbo and Randi talking about Sat Kandal Hobby Lady Jirwa, Hobby Lady Sonjore Roa, Hobby Lady Sonjore, that was the Hobby Lady Jere Kanda.
Woman Nimbo Randi Roa.
The talking about Chibu talking about Sondolando, talking about Randi Kilomado.
That's so. Yeah, woman Nimbo Randi the
woman Nimbo. Talking about woman Nimbo Randi. Talking about Seva Kanda, woman Nimbo the Zomba the Dirwa, Hobby Lady Dirwa, Hobby Lady. Randi the talking about the Tig Randi Korang, Lady Korang, the 100.
That's so. Yeah, also commentary on the perfection of wisdom in 8,000 lines says that if purified in accordance with the explanations, even karma certain to be experienced is purified through the antidote of the four powers. So Blaze of Reasoning, which is an auto commentary of the essence of middle way, composed by Bhava Viveka. So says that once you have thus weakened the potential to bring forth a fully ripened effect by means of confession and the restraint and the like, and then the fully ripened effect will not come about even if other conditions are met. So conversely, wrong views and anger can similarly destroy the roots of virtue.
That de Sunda Kanda. That Shadan Lama Maliba, Taja Tambuni Nebala Magibaji. Dangazuchida Nebasan Suzu Shadan Chine Tatu. Ya Shadan Chine Tayada, Tambuni Neba Masabani, the Tambuni Masaba the Kitchen Moshida Yesigora. This also chat. Tambuni Masaba the Kitchen Bore, Manzupe, Kamba the Lava Chava de Mila Patient Tilabdua, Sundua, Roa, Kamba the Lava Chani, Ya Soji Jebadeda, Tambuni Kamba Lava Chi, Machavani, the Kamba Lava Tambuni Mashaba the trouble the Timbo Yunchegorwa. Ji Chatanju Chuna Ya Soji Jetubaina, Ya Tabaina Kanda, Machaba did Ya de Yahurwa, or Dele Patient Sundua.
Yeah, although through confession and restraint, you may be able to purify karma so that none at all remains, so you can totally purify the karma. So there is still a big difference between the purity of not being tainted by faults. So the purity of not accumulated, the purity of not accumulated such faults from the beginning, and the purity after confession. So even though through confessions and restraint, you can purify the karma totally, but there is still a big difference between the purity of not having accumulated such faults from the beginning and the purity after confession. So you have done it and then you confess it. So there is still a big difference between these two types of purities. So then how say there is an example mentioned is like if how say broken arms and legs. So even though it is fixed, then you treat it, then it will not be as powerful and as not as strong as before.
앞에 샹시 자동 주나 디솔마 베시 운다 단도로와 다 샹시라 간다 자동 레오데 샹시 동바 다이 콘도 쉐바 라 렘바이나 간다 자동 소바 단로와 다 샹시 자동 슝바이나 간다로와 시지시 니자야 체들라 간다 사 당부터 무시바 간다 딘디기 코 쮸라오데 슈사레세로와 된 넘버 타베 디빈돌레 투스 순잔데 돌레 페 체봉기 디바 슝와 키라 로딘지 파르페 니리긴도 디송베 샤나 디바 타그레스 디바 타나 간다 지다니아 제바 토발라 까바추 구레스 다들 리송정도와
So the big difference between these two types of purities also mentioned in Bodhisattva levels and in the sutra as well. So the Bodhisattva level says that if a root downfall has occurred, it can be restored by taking the Bodhisattva vows again. So if one break the Bodhisattva root vows, then one can retake the Bodhisattva vows to restore it, but it will be impossible to reach the first ground in this life. So in that life, then one is impossible to reach the first ground. So also the gathering all the threads sutra says that once the bad actions of abandoning the Dharma, which is explained in that sutra, has occurred, if one confesses it 3 times every day for 7 years, the bad actions will be purified. So if one accumulates such negative karma, by confessing in this way, then the negative actions can be purified, but still it will take 10 eons, even at the quickest, to attain the level of forbearance on the path of preparation.
So dipa tatu gure de topa che so pa jurumbo be anda dipa sabite wange so so jula topa che de jurumbo so ja gure ese di dipa tatu gure ese mudwa de tambo ni kanda nyeba magi bachi so so che gure ese da dire jaro.
Yep. So yeah, therefore purification without remainder so means that the productions of unpleasant effects is purified without remainder. So when we apply 4 opponent powers, then we can purify the negative actions totally. So it means that the productions of unpleasant results can be purified totally. However, since the arising of realizations of the path and so forth will be much delayed, you should try not to be tainted from the beginning. So even though the negative actions can be totally purified, however, the arising of the realization in one's mind will be very much delayed. So one should try not to be tainted by those negativities from the beginning. So we have to be very careful with not accumulating such faults at the beginning, from the beginning.
Jibu chungu toba chiba dire, jibu chungu toba chiba dire roa.
Toba kiba.
Ta toba chiba, jibu chungu samba chiba, jibu chungu de ganso kanji gina shimangondo tenda nimbi tendi samba chiba roa. Roa. Sende da shima nigina na so shimangondo tenda ni samba chiba tendi shi. Te gugure se roa. Wata tendi da digi tenda dire kanda njiten de tena chima maibal njiten shimi giten. Si jesa na kwa tsana shina tepe de shimi giten. So ni njiten shina shazun se suna de chiba rese. Tik tenda dodo dire da mambo shima shina roa te pechani yoba. Tsendigi tenda duya de pa shazun zanshi. Roa. Si so tse shima ki tenda newa de. Tenda tendigi samba to so chiba chumba ina. Tsendigi pe che de mami bache. Tsendigi tenda che de madu bache. So tse shima ki tenda. Dune tendigi tenda negi samba chiba ina. 다 제부 중국 또 당보도 제발해서 제부 중국 또 당보도 제발해서 다 제부 중국 콩도 치발 다 간다 제부 중국 제대로 치발 다내 많이 봐 센들 한게 에
건다 그래서 기부 총무기 삼바 기지 당보기 와라.
당보도 제발해서 다
음.
제부 중국 삼바도 당보 제발이 다 당보 제네 대들 문티네야 고르나니 제고로 와 당보도 제부 중국 콩도 치살 다 간다 다 제부 중국 제대로 치열 되이나 다 치바나시 다 태상 고른 냥니 지야다 문티니 제고 다데 마지나야 마 산로야 내가 여러와 근데 순자 어다 데 삼바지야데 제부 중국이 삼바지야 데레스 간다 삼바지에서 들어와 삼바지야 도도 제부 중국 삼바지야를 가르스네 제부 중국 세대다 10만이 그는 10만 또 대던 이야기 삼바지야 데레다
So yeah, so the measure of that attitude having a reason. So previously you had an uncontrived interest in this life only, and your interest in future lives was just understanding, following the words, and then yeah. So basically, you can read here. Then the measure of that attitude having a reason, what it means is to, the attitude of a small capacity, small capable being is to strive mainly for future lives. So so these lives and future lives, the one who strive mainly for future lives, then that is the attitude of small capable being. And the goal in these lives then is regarded as secondary. The goal of future lives is regarded as the main one. So once one has generated such attitude, then that being is considered the small capable being. So that person has generated the first moment of attitude of small capable being. So the person has generated the first moment of attitude of small capable being. So that person also considered as a small capable being, and then that even though the person has generated such attitude, and that person has to continue to generate, continue to practice as well. Otherwise, there is a great danger that they might fall out of being a small capable being.
제부 중국 삼바 지발은 가서다 제부 중국 로장다 가서 군로 제바다 시대다 그 가슴만 시사로와 제부성 중국에 다 삼바 지발라 가르고 그러스나 든지면은 냐네 든지면은 제부 중국 삼바도 제두고 말 냐네 조데 가르스나 가서 시대다 원도 나보데 다 이제 신이 된다 단조를 야고 퇴바 제고로와 신이 된다 단조된 가서 제부 중국에 시대다 원도를 해서 그러와 제부 중국 시대나 원도를 배 단조다 신이 된지 그 간다 치와마 따바 상바다 년도 등아 상바도 저도 배 제부 중국 군로 쳐바들에서 그러라 군로
치와 미다바당
년도 등에 상바
년도기
년도 등에 상바 단 치와마 따바 상바다 년도 등아 상바 저 제부 중국 군로 쳐바 다 렌데다 짠도서와 로와 렌데다 짠도서 다 제부 중국 두바 냥랭이 되래서 그러와 두방이 되래서
렌데지보
렌데다 짠도
그거나
짠도다 먹게 좀 거 쓰리나서 봐 저래 that 딘디게 배 디솔라 상탄에 때제비 중국에 다 간다 지마 심망한테 그네 상바도 저 제고로와 디솔 상탄에 오다 딘디지 상탄 때제비 중국에 상바도 제바래 해서 다 제비 중국 제일 시바라 간다
그래서 대기부 숨기 삼바도 기발라로 기알라로 이제라
중국
기부 중국이 삼바 기알라 이디 시대 당원조 기부 중국이 근롱 죄바당 두방외 되로 디숨 차숨네
오다 디솔 참마라 간다 태상 공司 제발 되네 간다 딜레고로와
Yeah. So in order to generate the attitudes of small capable being, then there are three aspects that we have to think about. So the first one is the foundations or the preliminary. And the second aspect is the motivation part. So generating the motivations of small capable being. And the third aspect is the actual practice. So from these three aspects, then we generate the attitude of a small capable being. So the foundations or the preliminary is to practice guru devotions, relying on the spiritual friends, the 8 leisures and 10 endowments. Yeah, precious human rebirth. Think about the precious rebirth with 8 leisures and 10 endowments. So these two are the foundations or the preliminary. And generating the motivation of a small capable being is by thinking about the death and impermanence and the sufferings of three lower realms. And the actual practice for a small capable being is to practice karma, karmic cause and effect, refuge, and morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues, and etc.
Ota samba jiba dijita, ta samba loto sawadere ta. Ta loto sawadere, ta jiba chungu dino saji tamadere ndwa. Ta loto sa se loto sa ya kare sina dire. Loto basa gre chuji kare la chugundrwa ta chuji. Loto sa de dire sonro le penang khoi pinso la tanche le pe yishi log ba de songjandu te chuji chine te chuderwa. Sonro le pen khoi pinso la berwa. 거의 빈소 단절이 이시쇼데 로로그 바데 sombi 데 투기 치네 데 든디 송차와 인자 다 리더 론치 피준 소바도 응은토나 응은토나 로아 코아레스 코아이자 다 델라 데네지 리고 문두 상단 추 로도도 그래요 로도 다 델라 데네지야 문두스 다 간다 데네지야 문두스야 투기 대신에 로아 투기 신의 소를 뺀 거의 빈소 단절을 뺀 시쇼그 바데 송jan두스 송jan도 든디 송자 다 리더 론치 소 피준 소바 응은토나 코아레스 코아인다 코아세와들라 데니 지리고 마레스 다 로도들리고로와 데니 리고마 다 텔라 데니 지야마 거의 응은토다 리론치 피순 소바들라 데 데니 네야 요 마레스 다 로도들이 거의 피순 소바로 리다 론치라서 피순 소바데 응은토들라 데니 길로 지야 요 마레스니 다 로도들이 로도 디사와 당한서 로도 사야 되리로와 오 리다 론치 피순 소바 응은토데 땡은토데 텐도니아 요 마레스 로도 디사고다
Clear up misconceptions about that. So this is the last outline in small capable being. So the scripture says that one must turn the mind away from all the advantages of cyclic existence. So the scriptures says that, and then this has been the basis of some confusion. So some people may think it is improper to strive for a higher rebirth with an excellent body, wealth or resources and so forth, retinue and so forth, because those are part of cyclic existence. So because of scriptures says that one must turn the mind away from all the advantages of cyclic existence, then people misunderstand it as the higher rebirth with an excellent body, resources, retinue, and so forth are samsaric. So since those higher rebirth with excellent body, wealth, and so forth are samsaric, therefore they are not to be strived for. So they are not the object to strive for because they are samsaric. So this is the misconceptions to be refuted.
다 간다 내급 텐더니와라 거의 리론치 핀소데 좋아 되니 나지 배 내급 텐더니 고래 거의 니 리론치 내급 텐더니 고래 대급이 전세데 가스나 띠데 림바 다이 띠들라 림바 지발레 띠들라 배 로아 띠데 림바 지발레 땡닐레 타바 토고레스 로아 덴디 띠데 림바 마지발라 타바 토토고 마레스 로아 띠데 림바 지발레 떼간다 타바 토바 ngile 토바 shewa 제거해서 들다 ngile 내가 로와 띠띠지 땅 ngile 토고래서 로와 근데 리 론치 피순 소비 nento는 디로와 디 텐도 네네 데 간다 데 네급지 고바 가르스나 딱 간다 니 디르다 네급데 로와 디 조와 되는지 베네가 텐도 네 고래 가르스나 띠 되게 림바 지비 데 타라 ngile 토고래서 ngile 토발라 데 텐도 네네 ngile 토고마다 데 텐도 심망은도 텐도 네네 데베나 츠리야보송 저를 때 ngile 토고와 띠디 토고와 어디 토고 네급지 고바 되시.
So people think that it is improper to strive for higher rebirth, right? So the answer is no. So it is not improper to strive for higher rebirth with excellent body. So the answer is here. So once you strive for it, because they are two types of goal. So one is temporary goal, another one is ultimate goal. So even those who strive for liberation, so the part of the ultimate goals, so the definite goodness, one of the definite goodness, so need to temporarily strive for good things or goodness within the cyclic existence, such as the excellent body and resources and so forth. So since definite goodness is ultimately attained on the basis of a continuous succession of such lives. So as it says, goals, the goals one to strive for, there are two types. One is temporary goal, another one is ultimate. So one has to strive for samsaric, strive for the the body and resources, etc. Because on that basis, strive for such excellent body, excellent resources. Because on those basis, then one gradually achieve the definite goodness liberations. So this is the reason why. This is the reason, to refute that people think that it is improper to strive for it. So it is proper to strive for it because it is, it is needed to achieve the definite goodness.
다들만 다들 시군도 다 리롱지 피순 소방원도 강의 다년 거의 디바 말레스 다 리라서 봐 리롱지 피순 소바 데 로아 데 참마 벤 타신바데 간다 수구레스 수구 리다롱지 피순 소바로아 타신바데 리롱지 피순 소바데 타신바데 수구레 그 수구때 가서 토자 타도 받으러와 토자 타도 받으러와 그 수구다 대 신긴 조바다 대인 코나 레스로와 코레 근데 손자 다 간다 리 피슨 소바 롱지 피슨 소바 코르 피슨 소바 tomba 피슨 소바 신도와 오 피슨 소바 시데 다 간다 인토 두바기 로와 인토게 때 체바제레스 인토게 때 체바지 인토게 때 체바들이 피슨 소바 시데 땡게데 근데 인토게 때 체바지 데라 때니 데라 때니 다 간다 다 수구다 두구다 참마게 토야기 니바디 요레스 거로와 니바디 요레스 거
가서 땡키바친데 시디를 해주라.
리
롱주.
리 피슨 소바 롱지 피슨 소바
코 피슨
소바 tomba 피슨 소바
tom바스야 될 가리 나기라.
제바 tomba 안 제바서 지바르와 난 제바 피슨 소바 덴디페 시다 딩가 인토 체바와레 제바에 뭐레서 거 가능 인토 체바지
가장 운동기
체바지
운동기 개바지
인토 체바
운동 개바와
인토 체바와레서 어다 덴디지페 데우데 데간다 디텐다 디두그리서라 롱지 리 피슨 소바 타신바 수구두야 디인우레서 거와
Yes, and he says, not everything that is an excellent body, wealth, and retinue of a higher state is included in cyclic existence, because the culminations of an excellent body, so or having perfected the excellent body and so forth, is the form body of a Buddha. So the perfect version of the excellent body is the form body of a Buddha, the wealth of his field and his retinue. And it is with the intention that Ornament for the Mahayana Sutra says that the first four perfections accomplish the excellent body, excellent wealth, excellent retinue, and excellent undertakings of a higher rebirth. So excellent undertakings, in other words, is excellent activities of a higher rebirth, and it is accomplished by the first four perfections. So many scriptures explain that, the same way as well. So and this excellent body, excellent wealth, retinue, and the activities accomplished by the first four perfections, they are the special higher rebirth. They are said to be the special higher rebirth.
다 간단 치와 제제 tempada 신행에 론로이 에로와 또 세상에 된 지딘들라 로로니 심미기 된도 다 된다냐 되네지데 때 잔도 티모다 가난 됐어.
건다 계실라 가일로요.
근데 대 카두만도아 아리지네.
방린체네.
음.
This is complete.
이 신도 세딘젤만도아.
시심도마도
어다
시심도마도 민도
에마도미데.
디마도 민도 셰에디 가자데 둥에 리기레.
기분 리갈레 산데.
음.
알레 데 바로 진도데 야야.
나서 건다.
야야 데 게문도 다
네.
간다 데 나저 테니스와데 데라 티지 짜와 티지 요래. 결혼
음.
들어와.
음.
나저 디레 빼잖아 나저 빼 샤바이나. 다 좀바게 빼로와. 다 좀바다보치나. 세다 켈라. 세라 켈라. 테니 요로와. 세다 켈라 소바트를 테니 요로와. 테니 요로와. 땅 코다 롱지라 소바트 비즈 소바라 나저 테니 게제 시고로와. 다 좀바트라. 세다 켈라 소바라 테니 요레데. 세다 켈라 차파 요르스네 요마 차파 로사로와.
음.
세다 켈라 차파 요마레. 테니 요로와.
음.
오다 디 체바 시고레. 디 체바 시고레 나저 디 체바 마자와이나 야 디제 장스 남사 디제 켄자 요레야. 로와.
Yeah, so we also have to understand a difference between striving for it and attached to it or clinging to it. So the example is being arhat. So arhat, so he strive for food, strive for clothing, etc. But they do not have clinging towards those things. So though they strive for it, but they do not have attachment or clinging thoughts on it. So this is a difference that we have to understand. Striving for it, yet without attachment. So the example here, being an arhat, to have to understand the difference between these two.
당이 디 단다데 다 집이 충분도 뭐 쉬서로와 다 집이 충분도 디모 랑지 림발로 정도 희생도세 데 시에차로와 다 년보 도시랑 이베 피요다 디서 마지 제가 방리 공단하고 지쇼를 다 들이 차로 차서 말고 되고도 도도도 시선이 지시고 참마제 다 냥리 첼 더 대본다고 시
Yes. Yes. 대링수왕이 나기실라 건다.
ngol teacher matise mudota.
That's all. Yeah, so this concludes the explanations of training the mind in the stages of the path shared in common with persons of lesser capacity. So the 니부 도시 공당대 고고라데 수왕인바.
다 디지시 디진도아.
가마 주숨도.
디진도아. 당에 년부 도시 간다서 도도라고 소네로와. 년부 도시 레레라 간다 피요 간디요메. 레레고나 피요 간디메 바리 간디 공고메. 냥네 제당라고 시. 어디지 시고 된디요. 다데 개정보. 지다 디스 중바이나 가서 단단 년부 도시데 토르마치 공지 제고상 전송하니. 디토라 공지 제게상 전송로와. 다 드리니 용말다 진짜 제마들라 가서 다 간다 도와 드리레. 단 도와 드리레 디나로 간다 디스티지 중바이나 공지 제이. 다 제마들라 마티스 동도 제마들라 티슈에 이루와. 다 단단 골마 티슈에 이루와.
That's all. Yeah, so so since we have a little bit of time left here, so I'm going to explain in brief regarding the four opponent powers. So the benefits of each opponent power and the order to practice these four opponent powers. So I'm going to explain it in brief because we don't have much time left as well. So because I thought that if we have longer time, then then we will meditate. So we will meditate on these four opponent powers or practice four opponent powers with meditations together. So next week, then we will have question and answer sessions, right? So if we have some time, then I'm going to do a meditation on these four opponent powers. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about four opponent powers.
디파 제파 뽕하다 마치바 디파 마치바 마치바 아세 데디노 딜로 그래서 가서 nembo 도시 디파 제파 뽕하다와 디파 제파데 뽕하다 다 디파 마치바데 마치바 와 디파 마치바 마치바 데니노 딜로 그래서 가서 nembo 도시 데마 지슈에로와.
So yeah, these four opponent powers can be grouped into two. One is abandon the negativities that has already produced and not generate the negativities that is not yet produced.
다 간다 디빠체바 뽕아 세와데 다 디빠체 심바드와 다 수술을 가서 디빠체 심바드와 디빠체 심바드 뽕아도 조 님보다 가른도 그러스나 다 님보 근도 집에 또다 넘버 스팅게도 넘버 신집에도
나 숨요나.
그래서 넘버 신집에도 님보 띵게도 님보 근도 집에도 대선보다 디빠체바 뽕아라 조샤고 디빠체 심바 뽕아라 대선 조샤
Yeah, so the first one is abandon the negativities that has already produced, right? So there are three main antidotes to abandon such negativities. So that is the power of regret, power of reliance, and power of remedy. I repeat, power of regret, the power of reliance, and power of remedy. So these three are the main antidotes to abandon the negativities or eliminate the negativities that has already been produced.
다 디파 마치바 뽕한테다 다 네팔라도 베토 대가랑래 아데 대가랑 로라고 네팔라도 베토 다 신치 디파 자와니 마용바가 탄자저 와데 로와 어디로와 왔다 디파 마치바 뽕한테 다 네팔라도 베토 데레스고 조나와.
Yeah, so the second group is not produce or not generate the negativities, not generate the negativities that has not yet generated. So basically, basically is the antidote of the power of remedy, the power of refrain. Power of refrain is you promise not to do something onwards, right? From today's onward or with a time factor. So you promise that I'm not going to do that negativities. So this power of refrain is not generate the negativities that has not yet generated.
다 간다 담보 데 넘버 신집이 또 들어와 다 신집이 또 되게 간다 그로 딜 실내 간지나 신집이 또 되고디 간다 디바야 페카체 봐 디바 페카체 야 페로와 만소페 디바 데 샤도 마지면 디바야 페로 그래서 지요와 와 디바 오다 넘버 신집이 또 되게 조 디바 페카체 그래서 디바야 페야다 까노 그래서 그다 페카체서 와 디바 페카 체지 때간다 제부 가르 도트 그랬으나 뇨 진디 진제부티 뇨 진디 진제부서 가서 체도와다 녀마와다 베 점히바 장장 용아지와 오 다디 뇨 진디 진제부데로와 된다고 치로와 체통와다 녀마와다 내가 가리나 점히바 장장 진리 상상나 주로와 오 디스는 가서 뇨 진디 진제부데로와 오다 넘버 신지베 또 되게 셰레데 간다 디바 페카체와 디판 페카체와다 로와 페카체는 그래서 then 제부데 가르 도투르스나 오 뇨와 진디 진제부티 오 진디 진제부티 도투르에서
도서에 다 남나디게로 있라
다 그랬어 이거 다 그랬어.
That's all. Yeah, so the first power of regret. So the function of power of regret is stopped the negativities from multiplying or from increasing. So if one has accumulated a negativities, if one doesn't purify it, then these negativities will increase or multiply. So by cultivate the first power of regret, then it stopped the negativity from increasing. So this is the functions of it, and it also eliminate the end result as well. So we talk about cause and effect. Yeah. So it also eliminate a type of result that is a causally concordant experiential result. So when we talk about previously, we talk about result. There are different types of result, like ripened results, causally concordant result, right? So by cultivating power of regret, it eliminate the causally concordant experiential result. For example, one is born a short lifespan, a lot of sickness, and whatever works they do, then face a lot of obstacles, and a lot of unlucky things happen. So those are the example of causally concordant experiential result. So such a result can be purified.
다 디지타 간다 nembokin도 집에 또 되게 에로와 시레 간다 디파 자와니 파 ndemba chegreserwa dipa zawa nembokin도 집에 또 되게 디파 자와니 파 ndemba 제바다 nomi jinde
자와네 되면
그때 뭐 디파 자와니 ndemba
잡아버려.
어디 디파 자와니 저 템바다 다 nomi jinde bide ndaba chegres nomi jinde bide nga선 리비시나로 nomi jinde 다 단다 다이 군데 니와 jinde 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 nomi jinde 난지데 시고요.
And then the second is the power of remedy or the antidote. So the functions of power of remedy is it purified the negativities, uproot the negativities or purify totally the negativities. And the result can be purified by the power of remedy is the ripened result.
다 띵지 또 되게 디파 냠마와 셰그리 해스코 셰레 디파 냠마와 쇼다 드레브데 다핀 드레브데 다그리 해스로와 단데 드레브스나 가서 단데 요와 디파 요 단데 다그리 해스로와 단데 다그리 나서 디파테만 셰레 디파 마냐 냠마와 셰그리 해스들와
So the power of reliance, its function is to weaken the negativities. The functions of power of the reliance is to weaken the negativities, and the environmental result can be purified by the power of reliance.
다 시바데 네팔라도 베토드로와 다 네팔라도 베토 되게 간다 로와 신체 디바 초체치 신체 디바 초체바 데 시레디르와 신체 디바 초체바다 가바다 간다 마요와 로와 신체 디바 초체바다 레버들 시바 진디 진디바 다 안다바 송거레세 시바 진디 진디바 다바 로와 시바 진디 진디바 다바
That's all. And the last one is power of refrain. Its function is to stop the stop the future negativities. Stop stop the wrong. Yeah, stop the stop the future negativities, or not going to do that negativities in the future. So it's stopped. The function is to stop it, and the result is causally concordant. Behavioral result. Yeah, causally concordant behavioral result can be purified by this power of refrain.
Oh dear, that chidang also to chicken also and dribble shillet sola Lamrim in the water mando this year roa. On debutanda debut datanda so shillet sola mando this year. That keba this keba manchia mamuchi ditola jado ditola jading arang santa de bodu ditola roa ditola kanda so gonduba nyane jidio ditola santa de bodu roa chidang aso debut so nomi debut debut ya to so ya debut datanda mando this year roa.
Yeah, so how say the explanations of the functions and result can be purified by each of the opponent powers. So different scholars then they assert differently as well. So these explanations that I've given just now is accepted by most of the scholars. They assert in this way. So I also think that these explanations is easy to understand as well. And besides that, then there are different scholars, then they do assert differently. For example, by such a power of antidote, for example, then it purified another type of result.
zinda jema de pari de jisho de chang de twa de mambo ya ba ina de nga so gong ma de ba chi sha gong da de kan de gong da de ma xue yi ro ne gong da de ka si ti se ya ba ina ti twa de shi de me ba ti ina de nga so ma gong ji ya yi nyam de ro
做的主要之类咯，就是原来的工，
主要之类咯，那主要之类的，但刚才的光大帮里经济没经济学意思咯，当不能啊，刚才俺说工资第三嘛就把那么光大帮里去哇。当然嘛，俺说哪里钱么的嘛，西安的就是西安帮里就是的呀，所以说年龄今年是广大的，就来讲的社会的，但帮里的也第是蛮多哇，是吧？这个南西第是所以说这上龙当的人吧，就那么工钱年龄社会的，这第是蛮多哇的。 야 디 쳐봐요 로와
Mm.
아제르 쇼인데
Yeah. So next class, we are going to have a question and answer. So besides this question and answer, I'm going to explain about the order of these four opponent powers from the practical point of view, because the order of these four opponent powers is different from what is presented in the text. So I'm going to talk about it together with question and answer sessions. So if we still have time left, then I'm going to we are going to do a meditation together.
오다 드리데 샤이 다 참마게 나서 집이 중국의 사바리에서 간다로와 다 슐라 나서 든데와지 지 도와트레지 마다 사바리데 참마 나서 깨와 상보 에 춘진지 찬로와 이 참마게 나서 랑게 참마 게자 제세랑지야 에 상탄로와
Yeah, so this ends the explanations of small capable being. So we should feel very fortunate and then feel very lucky to have the opportunity to study that.
다 되지 당어서 망와 다 좋아 다 디셈을 다 뭐가 지야이로와 다 그리마
Yeah, so it's 6 p.m. already, so no time for question and answer. I will go straight to do dedication.
야 방어로 난저베 다 알랑림고니 손데 간다 다 집이 중요하다 지 차바리로와 지 차는 간저베 단년도 사막베 게잘랍 침보사이 소소 사막베 고가 중말에 다 근데 게이자월라 침보사베 게자데 다 공사장고 친구 장고 친구 초구집이 딱 저기 라마 서버는 뭐지 딘지 진짜 담바 사쇼 간 수요반 그때 딘진 진짜 받아 그러와 디 간다 이제 단다 잔린들라 만투다 미게라 소바 파 도야다 단 중앙시 네바 뭐지 공도 단 네바서 파 마용바 파 도야다 단 니안도 파 뉴드 트라 단 니안디네 파 뉴드 트라 딘디체 바지 게상와이 있어도 저와 다 데마데 땡안서 치소단 데와도 비든지 첼렌데바 가시 중요로와 다저 상마바 데이츠비 데신게 첼렌 데셀 다 체코와 토민사비 디바바 다니 산지 공부 뉴데야 더야 오든리치 ngwa chi shue yirwa de nga zo da danda di sang ne wa tsala pa ro ba chi ne member me sho ba pen ju kutan ro ba chi ne koran zo chama ba de ji pyusun so ba da de tara sang ji kong ba nyu de toya won de chi ba ngwa che ins.
So we conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated since we started studying this text, the beginning part of the Lamrim, and then until here, the end of the small capable being. So may whatever roots of virtue that we have accumulated, that may be the complete cause for all upholders of the Buddha's teaching, represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Khepji Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and others. May they live long, good health, and may their holy activities flourish. So we also dedicate these roots of virtue for the world peace, and may happiness prevail the world. May the world be free of war, conflict, natural famine, and disaster that caused by imbalance of four elements. So may they be quickly ceased. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to dedicate these roots of virtue for this pandemic to be quickly ceased as well. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all sentient beings who has already passed away, and especially those who pass away in this pandemic. Because of this pandemic, then may their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be purified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. We also dedicate these roots of virtue for patients to quickly regain their health and may their life be filled with excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who help others, such as doctors, nurses, and those who help others financially. May their life be filled with excellent happiness and may their wishes be accomplished instantaneously.
Dagi Jinian Zabi Giwan de Dindang Roa Guna Gambe da Chewa Jizin Losan Chapa Yimbe Nimbo Rindo Seje Jo Chanju Senjo Rimbo Ji Ma Che Pa Na Ji Ju Ji Cheba Nyamba Meba Wanye Gongdong Pewa Hyo Jambe Pa Ye Chetan Chema Da Tundo Zambe Te An Digi Te Te Da Bunje Jeso Daro Giwan Da Da Tang Je Ra Dong Tuni Tawa Rimbo Je Ma Che Pa Na Ji 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 Cheba Nyamba Meba 원예 공동 배워 효 진이 따와른 보제 마제바나 지지지 제바 양반 원예 공동 배워 효 두전 장견 장게 자예 된진저 배에 근세 또 보내 초수 배에 내면들 다소 되제 된도 자대 요 동리니 제선 동주 배라 지제 상태 강제 진정게 천하배 뭐 딘지 장소 소원대서 현대 린도 효 이제 강대 빈대 말리바 가능지 선배 이제 나까진 선배 딘지 장소 소원대서 현대 린도 효 가르라 산대 핀다 말린도 예레서 딘지 장 샤비 시티 바도 딘지로 지 호야 땡큐.
네,